Welcome back. We are on part 4 of the engine build of the Volkswagen Beetle. We have our case together, and now I want to cover relief valves. You remember we took out our relief valve using a 12 by 125 tap. What you want to do is, before you take it off that tap, you want to put a little oil on it and run that back and forth in there and twist it around and make sure that operation is just going to be smooth as silk. So you want to make sure your relief valve is clean and that it's well oiled. Okay, then you can take it off the tap and put it in there, and you can put the spring in and tighten that up. We're going to put a little gasket cinch around the outside of this and around the gasket. There used to be, a while back, before gasket kits become, I guess, cheap, they used to come with a pressure relief valve gasket, but they do not any longer. It does have a gasket for the oil sump in the center, but it does not come with the pressure relief valve gasket. So I'm going to use some gasket cinch on that, and we're going to put them together. This is a dual relief case, and dual relief cases have those kind of relief valves. If your relief valve in your dual relief case has a groove cut in it, it's a single relief valve, and it's meant for single relief case. If your relief valves are not working properly, your oil pressure going to your oil cooler could cause a leak, because it will not regulate the pressure properly. So let's get those in there, and then we'll cover the sump gasket next. We have both of our pressure relief valves in now. They're drilled both the same depth, and this one has a longer spring. So don't freak out if you got to push this one in a little bit and this one you don't. So it's the way it is. I'm not usually in go for the chrome plated Pimpmobile looking stuff, but unfortunately this is all they had. So I'm going to put a little old red around here. What are you doing? You don't need to glue those gaskets together. No, of course you don't. I've had one of these things before, and they leak like sieves. So you have to do everything you can to keep them from leaking like sieves. So there you go. My Volkswagen doesn't leak. No, of course not. It just marks its territory. Hey! So we're going to put a little silicone on these gaskets before we go and put this thing all together. And you know, you do yours your way, and hey, I'll do mine my way, and we'll just have a lovely time together. So it's kind of like freedom of speech, you know. So last time I remember, there's no constitutional writ that says that you can't be a racist. Not that I am, but free speech is still legal. So we're going to put that all together, and so is free silicone. So and we're going to put that all together, and I'll show you this when I get done. Oh, I've these nuts that come with a car. What they do is they bottom out on these studs. They get full of crap. They bottom out, lock themselves onto the studs, and then the studs come out. So I don't like using those. I like using these gold ones, because these gold ones are 10.8, and these silver ones are 9 point whatever they are. It's a hardness or whatever like that. These are better nuts. However, I only have 2 of them, so I'm going to go to the nut store tomorrow and buy some more nuts. Anyways, let's get that together. But I'm going to have to do it with the silver ones instead of the gold ones. There's 2 different oil strainers. There's one that's deep and one that's shallow, and make sure you get the one for yours. This particular oil strainer is for a dual relief case. When I went and bought the parts on Rock Auto, I made sure that I was ordering parts for the dual relief case and not for the single relief case. So there you go. This has a big hoogly boogly rubber gasket, but it's also a magnetic plug. So I really like the idea of it sorting out some of the metallic fragments. Looks to be 7/8. Actually, it looks to be metric, but there, that should work all right. The gaskets that come with this kit were about twice as thick as as the normal gaskets are. So of course they're not going to work. So the studs aren't going to. So these are absolute junk. They were good. So I took the gaskets out of my gasket kit. Sometimes stuff made for things just isn't right. Since we don't have this piece painted, I can't put it on, and I can't fully put my pulley on, but I can put it on enough to show you how to time this. So let's get our block out of the way, a little wooden block, and we'll let this face you. Set that right there. All right. Now, this is going to be the driver's side of the car. It's oil cooler. So this is number 3 and this is number 4. Number 1 is here and number 2 is here. So what you want is you want one at TDC, top dead center. So you can swing this around until your piston, or to your connecting rod, is right at the top. Now, there is a mark on this pulley. And the mark on the pulley should line up with the line in the case. And you see we have 2 marks right here. And I don't know which is which. I believe the first one is going to be, and this is after top dead center, I think. Let me see if there's another one on the bottom here. Let's swing this around. Okay, and no. And yeah. You see right there. So you have this mark right here, and it's going to line right up with the split in the case. Come this way just a tick. That's going to be top dead center, TDC. Okay, the number 1's out like that. Now, if you mark, because your crank is keyed, your pulley is keyed to the crank. If it's not matching up, and this connecting rod is like halfway down or something like that, you got something wrong inside. That's why it's so important to watch what you're doing. Here's our distributor hole. You see our distributor hole, and this is a push rod. So we'll put that push rod right there. And probably a flashlight to help. Oh yeah, that's nice. And if you look down here, you look down there, there's a hole, and that hole right there is where this on the distributor drive goes. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these 2 washers, and there should not be 1, there should be 2. There should not be none, there should be 2. There should not be 16, there should not be a big lock washer. There should be 2 little warpy washers, little Volkswagen looking washers, okay? And we're going to put some Cramp Easy Lube brand vegetable shortening on them. Commonly known as, if I have any left, gee, I don't know if I have any left. Assembly Lube. Don't have any left. Let's see if I can squeeze a little bit out of this. Just enough to get us done. Oh yeah. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little Assembly Lube. And I'm going to coat those washers. And the reason why I want to coat those washers is I want to make a little glue. Drop them down there. Oh no, you dropped your washers down there. Okay, so you drop your washers down there and they go down. Okay, and then you carefully pull your push rod tube out, and you want to run it around there and make sure they are centered in that hole right on the top, like that. Then we're going to take our gear. I can't remember which way does this go. Does that go backwards like that, or does it go frontwards? I think it's a backwards D. It is, it's a backwards D. And a backwards D, what I mean is, it's not like this. It's not going to be in that hole like this. It's going to be like this. So, that being said, what you have to do is you have to look at the teeth on the gear, and we're going to put a little Assembly Lube on that, and on this, and on that. And you have to back it up a bit. So you think about it. Let's see, it's going to swing on that gear, so let's make it about a third and see what happens. So we're going to drop that down in there and see what happens. Oh, look at that. Is that about right? You're a little off. You're a little off. So we're going to have to fish that back out of there. I think I'm slightly off. So I'm going to have to fish that out of there and try for another shot. But you understand that that slot has to go up and down. And then it's not a D like this, it's a D like this. The bigger end is over here. So I'm going to have to fish that back out and turn that just one tooth and see if I can't slip it in there a little different. So I made another tool. It's just a piece of wood. You can kind of tap down in there. That way you're not just losing it. So you got the long side. It's going to go this way. The biggest side is going to go this way. I checked our washers. Our washers are there. And we're going to have it at about 10:30. And we're still a little off. So let's pull it back out. Bring us back. And then I'm going to go for about 11 o'clock. And there you are. It's not quite. I'm a little past it, so let's try it one more time. And let's go about 10:30. See if I can't hook that about 10:30. About there. Well, I'm off now. I think I had this problem before, and I don't think it's perfectly straight. I really don't think so. So I'm going to call that good. Because I can't get it any better. And realistically, it doesn't matter. Well, it does. To a certain point, it does. It does matter. But I think that's correct. Let me go look at the book, and I will concur with you. Probably, though, it will be tomorrow when I concur. Oh, don't forget your spring. And the reason why it doesn't necessarily need to be perfect, I'll explain to you, because when you bolt your distributor up, there's a certain amount of turn you can turn it, and as long as you are at right there in your number one is TDC, and you turn your distributor so it's on 1, you're good. I think this is it. I think it's not exactly perfectly straight. It's just slightly curved a little bit. So, but I think that's the right way. So I think that's got it. I'll give you a look. I'll have to put that in my box of tools. See that? See how it's not exactly perfectly straight. But realistically, it's going to run. It doesn't matter. That just has to turn the distributor. And as long as we are TDC here and TDC here, as long as we have our distributor on 1, we'll be aces. Okay. Okay, it is the next morning. I don't know if you can see this, but you can see your breath in here. It's that cold. I've got the kerosene heater on, chooching away. And I got the strangest thing last night. I heard UPS or somebody stop in front of my house. And I heard 2 trucks actually. And so I went out and investigated. And there wasn't a package or anything. And this morning I looked on my email, and it said, you have a delivery from UPS, and they delivered last night, and I didn't see it. It's the magic elf kind of a thing. I don't know if you get if you're this way, but I get older, and the magic elves will take things away, and then they'll put them back exactly where you placed them. That's what I like to blame, anyways. Let me show you something really quick here. This is a dual port head. And I wanted to show you these studs that I got. This is a dual port head, of course, has 2 ports. This is a single port, of course, this is a single port. Alright, the dual port head does not have this boss like the single port does right here. Therefore, it takes a shorter stud. So there's 3 types of studs for single port or for a dual port engine. There's 2 types of studs for a single port engine. So the ones on the top will all be the same length, a medium length, about 8 inches or so. And the ones on the dual port head will be 8 inches on the end and 7 inches like in the center. So there's 3 different styles of studs for the dual port and 2 different for the single port. Now you can buy the 10mm studs or the 8mm studs depending on what kind of case you have, and the universal case has the 10mm or the 8mm studs because it has the case savers, bigger studs for the ones that didn't have the case savers. Essentially there is more meat there, yada yada yada. Okay, you understand that. Let's have a look at our stud kit. Let's see what they sent me. Now they said this was for a single port engine because there's several different styles like I said. So let's see exactly what they sent me. Of course, you have all the nuts and washers. I understand that. That's great. They'll all fit. That's fine. It's the studs that I'm worried about. So let's see what we got. Looking better. Looking really good. Disco. Look at that. Look at that. So we have two styles of studs. We have the big ones and the short ones. And that's what we're looking for. And if I'm not mistaken, those are going to be, let me get my free hazard fraud tape measure. Check that out. 8-ish and the 9.5s. Beautiful. Chromoly studs from Empy. I bought these on eBay. A lot of places want up to $80 for these. I found these for $40 shipped to my house, or I think it was even cheaper. I think it was $40. I think I spent a lot on that. I thought that was a lot. Maybe you don't think that's a lot. Okay, the mailbag. Let's see what we got. Let's see what the magic elves took away from me and then returned. Well, first thing, we have a brand new Bomba de Agua. Look at that. Brand new. That is a Gates brand Bomba de Agua, and it's not remanufactured. It's absolutely new. And guess how much the price was at O'Reilly's for their house brand. O'Reilly's wanted $30 for their house brand and $40 for a new one. Now, I got this at Rock Auto for $20. Oh, but my God, the shipping cost so much. This whole box of shipping parts, was, it doesn't say, I know it was $8, or I want to say $9. Everything I got in here cost $80. It was $79 and change. So $80. Or was it 86? Well, it wasn't a lot, I can tell you that. Not for what you pay at O'Reilly's. $40 for a new water pump, huh? Oh, really? Okay. Continental. Yes, that's a nice one right there. Continental. V-belt for the Vauxy. Okay, and this was, I think I sprang for the expensive one. The Continental belt was $3.50. There was a cheap belt that you could get for like $1.50. I got these, and these are the little plugs that hold your spark plug wires. Got that. I got this, which is tore all up. These right here was the most expensive thing. Actually, no, it wasn't the most expensive. This is a new set of Bosch points right here. For that distributor. Of course, the shaft's got to go up through there. You know what I mean. That's how that works. It looks like they're boogered up, but they're not. The box would say they're boogered up, but they're not. I got a brand new set of Bosch Buhas, and since I bought a new set of Bosch Buhas, I decided I would buy 2 sets of Bosch Buhas. It looks like they sent me. No, there's only 8 in here. So I got, these were the copper ones, the fancy ones, and the perfect Bosch, lovely spark plugs. And since I was going to pay for 4, I got 8 because they were only like $2 a piece. They weren't that expensive. Very cheap to shop on Rock Auto. And this was the most expensive part in this whole situation here, was a Bosch condenser for my distributor. So I have that and points. And then I got some Pro Series by Federale spark plug wires, and I sprung for the hot rod ones, and they were, I think, $11. Very nice. They have the silicone boots, silicone wires, high temp 7mm. Very nice set indeed. It almost looks like these will unscrew, but I'm not going to do that. Very nice indeed. So I'm very satisfied with the parts we have. Lovely. You know, ironically, there's one thing I have forgotten to get, and that is a rear main seal. So I might have to go down to O'Reilly's and pay the $10 for the rear main seal that they want. I'm probably not going to do that, though. I'm not going to get in that big a hurry. I'll find something else I need and try to avoid AutoZone, AutoWorks, O'Reilly's, or Action Auto. Well, I have to take a trip to town, so I'm waiting on the wife. She's going to want to go. I need to get some spray cleaner, like some brake cleaner or something like that, because the distributor I have has a lot of grit in it, and I want to clean it all out. And also, the fitment of the condenser is loose in the bottom, so I want that clean and free of grease, so I can put a little dab of some silicone around it to hold it in place. This this plug. Also we've put our contact points in, and the contact points that I have come in 2 pieces, and these indeed also come apart in 2 pieces. And there is a little ledge here for a keyway, not a keyway, but one of those, only smaller. And so I have a whole bag of these little E-clips, and one of them fits on there just lovely. And I looked in the book, and it doesn't show it, but there is indeed a slot for it. So I'm going to put it there. It doesn't hamper the setting of the points. The points call for 16 to 20, and I have mine set at 18, so I think that's going to be all right. But I really want to clean this and silicone this piece back in place before I put it in the engine. So I'm going to set that aside, and I would like to work on the engine studs. We put our they're reversible, so it doesn't matter one way or the other. We put our case savers in that one side. So, and then we cleaned up our studs and made sure they were, you could screw into them really easily, and lubricated them and all that other good jazz. So we're going to put these in. And like I said before, the long ones go at the bottom, and the little shorties go at the top, like this. So we're going to get that done. And then we will, got a battery light going on. Then we will, I'll charge that battery. And I'll be able to take a trip to the store and buy some cleaner. And also I'm going to buy a gallon of lacquer thinner too, so I can wash down my tin. I bathed it all in that 40-to-1 mix, so it has oil on it, so if you spray any color on it, it could bubble and peel. So we're going to wipe that down with some lacquer thinner before we take and spray those. Alright, I'm going to charge this battery, and I'll be right back with you because I'll have that distributor finished, and we'll put it in the engine. Well, I'm missing 2 pieces of tin. One is in the garage, I'm sure. It's that tiny little piece right there, and this piece right here, only on the other side, it's a long piece. That one and that one bolt together for the passenger side, so you can have access to the thermostat. But the other side, the driver's side, I'm going to have to find that. But anyways, I've been busy in painting. For you purists, look away, please. Go find something else to do for a little bit. You remember we drilled a hole in our oil gallery here so I could go down and rod out the mud dauber nest. I found a bolt with a collar, 10 by 1 metric, and tapped that, and I put that in there, and I put an O-ring underneath, and I used a green O-ring, which is for air conditioning, so it takes solvent, so it will be very good. I used some high temp silicone around it, and I put a little dot of urethane on that. Now here's my stay, and I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to lay that right down on there, just like that. And then I'm going to let that set up a little bit, and the urethane will act as a cushion. And I'm going to let that urethane set up before I put my well, I can put my nut and bolt on it, but what I will, or excuse me, my nut and washer. But what I will do is I will tighten that up in a day or so after the urethane. Urethane is windshield sealant. It's almost like rubber. It is actually, and when it cures, it's like rubber. But I'm going to use that as a cushion underneath there. And what that's going to do when I tighten that, if you look at the angle on it, it's going to push down on that, and it will secure that in place like a spring. So not only will it not leak, but if it didn't have this on there, and the 4 or 5 threads I had decided they were going to strip out, and I was driving my Vauxie and the oil shooting out all over the place, it'll just leak. It won't squirt out like a geyser. Like I said, you purists, look away. Well, we have our head studs in, and to the folks at Empy, I'm not amused. Essentially, there were 7 short studs and 9 long studs, and if the person who did that is snickering, I didn't find it funny, but I got one up on you because I have several small studs, so I just used an original Volkswagen stud. So joke's on you, Chief. How about that? Oh, it's not chromoly. I'm gonna make 53 horsepower here, dude. I don't know, some people. UPS came today, and as they seem to be quite often, and I've got this delicious box, and it contains lovely, beautiful new cylinders. Look at that. Chinese, yeah, probably. Cast pistons, yeah. Hey, we're making 53 horsepower here. Beautiful. I didn't go 2,300 cc or something insane like that. 85 5s is what I got. 1,600. There is a reason why Volkswagen didn't build engines bigger than 1600. Oh, a train! Listen, listen. All right. There's a reason why Volkswagen didn't build bigger engines than 1600 cc's for these little air-cooled cars. Because they wouldn't be reliable. How about that? You take some of the stuff into consideration. Anyways, so we got our liners. I also cleaned up my heat boxes. Gotta love Oklahoma. Original German heat boxes, not rotted through, still very, not punky or anything. We're going to put some paint on those. I cleaned them all up, and we'll put some paint on those as well. Okay, she who must be obeyed is calling me in for dinner, and so I like to eat. All right, see you guys. Oh, it won't be see you guys. It'll be just the next segment. I'm not proud that I had to JB weld the condenser wire in place, but it is as it is. I don't know what to tell you, but the other one came out like in pieces. I had to literally drive it out. It was nutty, and this one did not fit at all. It just fell in there. So I don't know. They're original Bosch parts, so they are what they are. It could have to do with this says made in Turkey. I thought Bosch was made in Germany, but they are Bosch parts. Anyways, you want to make sure that your distributor is clean inside, and mine is. I washed it all out, and now I'm going to put a drop of oil on that little spring and the other, and I'm going to put just a little bit around that shaft. Normally they have and it surprised me that this one didn't, is a little felt pad around it. It did not have that. Did not have any little felt pad. So I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to open this up and put a drop of oil on it for when we do oil changes. We want to make sure our vacuum works, and it does. You want to make sure and have the correct piece that goes to the carburetor. It's got a little loop that goes to the top, and what it does is any gas fumes get in there, it kind of keeps them, or any gas comes out of the carburetor from the vacuum, it keeps it low so it doesn't get sucked into the diaphragm and destroy the diaphragm. We've set our points at 18, 16 to 20. So they're 18 and they are clicking nicely. I have my wire plugged in there, so I think everything is hunky-dory there. I'm going to put a drop of oil on this little rubber to help it slide in place, and just a tick of oil on this just to get it started. Should be fine. Okay, now we're going to let's have a look at this. And let's see where we're at here. We have our spring in place, and the D is facing this way. And so what we're going to do is we're going to drop this in here. Let's see, which way is that going? Let's give it a turn. Right there. And no, you don't have to put your distributor in, but that's upside down, isn't it? It certainly is. It certainly is, Ollie. It's upside down. Maybe upside down. How crazy is that? Maybe it's not. Yeah, that's upside down. Okay, let me take this off and we'll turn it around. I'll have the distributor in. I have painted a mark right there, and that first one to the left, there's two marks right there. First one to the left lined up with the case is number 1. There is the notch in the distributor pointing to number 1, so we are good. I'm using new hardware. This was once an O-ring. It is only an O-ring in the academic sense, as it was once round and once made of rubber. A new O-ring comes with the your gasket set. I went down to O'Reilly's to buy some nuts and bolts, and they want $3 for 4 bolts, but they wanted $12 for this. So I opted for this. Was quite nice for $12, and it's the anodized plated hardware. We have lots of 6x1s and plenty of 12x125s. Washers also, and yeah. So we have quite an assortment here that we can use, and have been using them. Plan on using those. I got my tin on. I have my original cheese heads for my tin, so I'm going to use the original cheese heads. That which should not be looked on by the purists has been tightened up, and it looks fantastic. Seems to work pretty well. I'm going to leave this loose, this distributor, and next we're going to do the fuel pump. The fuel pump's kind of tricky. Couple of things. If you haven't had your block apart, wait a second, which way do I want to put this? If you took your block apart and you're trying to get your distributor pump, if this thing is stuck in there, don't try to take it out. Leave it in there, because usually it breaks off. If it does break off, you can tap it. You can tap it, I think, with about a 10mm tap. Run a bolt down it, like a head stud bolt, and pull it out. So you can do it. These are pricey though. Original ones are kind of hard to find. Okay, let's put this together. There's a gasket, another gasket, and then the fuel pump. This is a fuel pump rod. There are 2 different sizes, but I don't know which one this one takes, so I'll have to look. You want to make sure when you put this together that you put a little oil on your shaft. He said oil on his shaft. When you rotate your engine, this should go up and down. You see how far down that is? I don't think that's right. I think I got the wrong shaft in it. It needs to come up a little farther. I'll have to look. So there are 2 rods, all right? This particular one I like a little bit better. It's at the top of its stroke, and the top of its stroke measures 463. The book says 13mm, which is almost a half an inch. That's about right. And the lowest part of its stroke just eyeballing it is 0.29. 29, or is that 2.5? 2.9 of an inch. That's roughly 5/16 or 8mm. 9 millimeter is 030, 031, somewhere in that neighborhood. So 8 millimeter at the bottom of the stroke, 13 millimeter at the top, a variance of 5 in between. So I think we're good. I think we're all right there. I'm using gasket cinch to put those together. I'm going to put my fuel pump on there and bolt it down. Okay, couple of things. You need to check your end to play, and you have 3 shims back there and behind the flywheel. You can come out like this. Now, if you're fancy and you have a dial micrometer, that's great. And if you don't, then you can make up something. And I'm about 6, but I do not have my nut tightened, so I think I should be okay. I don't have it really torqued down the way I should be. I think things will be okay as long as your case isn't wore all out and your bearings aren't moving back and forth in there. You should be fine. The next thing that we're going to do is going to be on the next segment, and we're going to mate our cylinders to our heads, and show you a couple other little things here. You want to make sure you grease your gland nut, and there is a little felt deal in there. You want to make sure you get some oil in that. Clean it all out. Look at your needle bearings in there and make sure they're not wore flat or missing. And then on the inside of your flywheel there is a O-ring. Make sure and replace that, oil that, clean that all out really good, and you shouldn't have any trouble. Okay, I'm going to close it up for this segment, and we will start fitting our cylinders, marking them, and fitting them to our heads. Alright, thanks for wrenching. See you later. Well, this is going to be the last video on this engine, and I'll tell you why. I was setting my crank end play when I noticed this. Look carefully. See if I can get it to do it. See that? That bearing is loose in the case. And there's nothing I can do. I can line bore this case, but it's got a lot of problems. The bottom's ate up. And I've got some chunks come out of it here that I showed you before. Well, crap, it's a boat anchor. I mean, if I could get it line board free, I don't know, I'll get it line board and then I have to buy new bearings. I'll have to see if I can find another standard case, either that or buy a brand new standard case. Yep, okay, well folks, thanks for wrenching with me. But all of this was for naught. But you know, what's going to happen if that bearing isn't tight in that case, squeezed in there tight, if it moves, the crankshaft moves, And when the crankshaft moves, the connecting rods move, and it changes the location of it. It puts a lot of strain on the cylinders, and then it changes your timing will go back and forth too, because your distributor is running that timing gear, and it'll tear that copper gear up. Well, what are you going to do? Okay. Well, I'll have to look for another case. All right, see you guys later. Bye.